Let the seed of love gush forth.
Episode 123 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Roivers. With me, as usual, is John Denton.
Un, dos, tres, un, capitamba deba Maria.
We are going to do what we always do, two top 10 lists, the 10 games that we have been playing over the past 7 days. The number 10s are the games we have been playing the least. The number 1s are the games we've been playing the most. That's it, John. Let's do this.
My number 10 is a game called Dino Hunter on the Android. I'm sure it's also available on iOS. Do you remember me either last week or the week before speaking about...
PC game?
No, an Android game.
Yeah, but it was a Dino Hunter. Wasn't that something that the free PC download you had?
Oh, no, that was like Dino Nazis or Nazis and Dinosaurs. I don't know.
Right.
I played a game... either last week or the week before, called Deer Hunter on the phone.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because of Hulk Hogan or something?
Stone Cold Steve Austin, but yeah, okay. Yeah, fair. It's the right ballpark.
Right.
Anyway, so Deer Hunter, this is made by the same people. It's basically the exact same game. It is. I mean, it controls exactly the same, but you're shooting dinosaurs instead of deer. In some ways, you think that would be more exciting and slightly... maybe less disturbing than seeing these cute little deers die, but in some ways it's actually probably, I don't know, it's strangely sad. It's like deer hunting's a thing that exists for, you know, whether you, whatever politics about it, you know, there are reasons why deers are shot and eaten and things like that, whatever. But seeing like some dinosaur that is extinct and is sort of amazing and then just shooting it in the fucking guts for a laugh, it just feels a little bit... I just felt a bit sad playing it. I didn't really want to play it anymore. I mean, it's just shooting a dinosaur, but it's just so calculated. It's just this dinosaur standing there. But it's very well made. Those glue game guys, they know what they're doing. And the dinosaurs get aggressive when you shoot them, so they kind of charge you and you have to shoot them down. It's really quite good. But it's just kind of weirdly more disturbing than shooting deers, which are real-life animals. Not that dinosaurs weren't real life, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I'd be more saddened by shooting deer than dinosaurs, because, I mean, I don't know, dinosaurs, if they're coming to try and kill you, at least...
Yeah, but they're not at first, they're just doing their thing, and you just walk up and go, look at this extinct animal, fucking boom, and then it just starts spilling its guts everywhere.
Okay, all right. Sorry, what was it called? Dino Hunter?
Dino Hunter, yeah.
But
like, it looks nice, very well made, yeah, three. Yeah.
All right. Maybe I'll look into that one day.
They're both very well made games, but yeah, you have to have the stomach for huntage.
Glue games do make really solid. I mean, they tend to be. I mean, you know, it's no surprise that those two games you mentioned are so similar, because the RoboCop game they did was almost exactly the same as that Frontline Commando they did. They just seem to sort of plunder their own assets to sort of remake the same game, etc., etc. But yeah, at least they're well made and slick, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, my number 10 is a game called Game of Thrones Ascent on iOS.
I've never actually played this.
No, it was a listener recommendation, and this is a really poor show on my part. According to my girlfriend, I opened it, I groaned very loudly about 4 times, and then I yelled, "What the hell is this?" a couple of times, and then I just closed it. I have no idea what this is. No idea. I mean, I kept looking for the game, and the game is menus. There's just a wall of menus. You click send favour, and then, okay, send favour. You enter the user ID of the person you wish to send a favour to. So, okay. And then a message comes up saying, "Do you want to ask a young servant if they approve of the slave trade?" And you're like, "Yeah." And then they go, "No, milady, I don't approve of the slave trade." And then something flashed up green, and then it vanished. And was that a good thing? I don't know. Tap here to open the buildings menu. Tap here to view the law book. Customise your character. Would you like to apply a seal to your character of Lady Graceford or whatever her name was? Yeah, you do not have any seals. This game contains none of the things that I enjoy about video games, just other stuff that I don't know. It's a mystery to me. I'd say don't play it, but it's a game that can't really be played. It's a load of menus. I don't know what this is. I don't know. No comment. Apart from what I've just said.
I'd seen it about, and yeah, I thought maybe I'll download it at some point. There's Game of Thrones in it, but it didn't look very appealing, I have to say.
It's all official. It's got the HBO blurb in it. They use the music and the menus and stuff. But what the hell is it?
Maybe I will download it and see if I can figure it out.
Please, because
I don't know if it's on Ange, but I'll have a look.
Why not?
Bloody Ange. Right. Okay. Talking of Ange, my number 9 is on there. It's a game called Timberman. Let me just double check. Is it called Timberman, or has my brain just decided? It's called Timberman, number 9 on Ange. This is a game that I think Johnny Minkley, of all people, tweeted a score of it, and I just thought, okay, I'll download that. That's something that I can talk about. And immediately it was just one of those really dangerous games that you kind of wish that you'd never got involved with in the first place. I deliberately didn't tell you about it because I thought that you don't need this in your life. Okay. It's basically in the Flappy Bird graphical style, but the game isn't like Flappy Bird. You're a wood chopper, a lumberjack. That's what they're actually called. And you have a giant tree, and basically you can tap on the left or the right-hand side of the screen, and every tap chops the tree down. And branches come down the left or right-hand side. So if the branch is coming down the right side, you want to tap on the left, because if you tap on the right, it will eventually squish you. So it's all about basically chopping a tree down as quickly as you can and getting as high up. It's like an infinite tree. So you're trying to tap, 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 tap on the right, tap, tap, tap on the left, dodging the branches, chopping the tree down, trying to, every tap registers a number. So you're just trying to get as high as you can. You have an energy bar that goes down if you tap slowly, and you need to tap quickly to keep the energy bar sustained. So it's just one of those really very super simple games that's cruelly addictive, and if you get into a score battle with someone, you're going to spend a lot of time. It's a complete waste of time, effectively. It's a well-made piece of nothing. But yes, it's good fun if you're looking for something completely casual, for want of a better word. It's a better game than Flappy Bird. I think it's way less annoying and way less cunty.
I was just going to ask, surely it's got to be a better game than Flappy Bird.
Yeah, it is actually quite good, but it's just like, for busy people, getting into a Timberman score battle is just not what you need to be doing.
Yeah, right, okay. I am curious. Johnny Minkley, what the hell's he doing with himself?
I believe he does a lot of work with that, Special Effects, the company that do like a lot of stuff for disabled gamers. I think it's like either ambassador or VP or something, like quite high up there, I think, at the moment. And I'm not too sure what else he's doing beyond that. Maybe some TV work, I don't know. But yeah, fair play.
Yeah, good for him. I hadn't seen that. He just sort of vanished off the face of the earth.
Yeah, he left Eurogamer, didn't he? And I think he's just been doing that. I think he does stuff with BAFTA as well. But yeah, he's doing pretty well. Oh,
good. All right, good for him. Okay, all right. My number 9 is a game called Sepe's Cumshot. Sepe, which I believe is not somebody's name. Wait, I mean, it's supposed to be someone's name. I don't know whether that means something in another language.
Is that like
Sepe? Yeah, I googled it and I found no match for it being a name. So I thought maybe it was a foreign word that was made, maybe another pun. But Sepe's Cumshot anyway. There was a Vice article in the week about the ridiculous history of sex in games, I think it was called. And it was pretty interesting. And there was this mention of a game called Sepe's Cumshot. There was no information. It wasn't part of the feature. It was just a throwaway comment with sort of wild praise, which I couldn't work out if it was being sarcastic or not. And the title, Sepe's Cumshot, was hot link, so obviously I clicked on it. It's a flash game where you interact with a sort of reasonably well-animated muscle man, and you have to arouse him and then whack him off while he talks to you via these little text boxes saying, "Yeah, I'm hard, baby. Yeah, just like that, all that nonsense." I played it for around 90 seconds. I mean, I got the man hard, so there's no reason for me to feel ashamed for not at least succeeding in that department. But all you do is scrub up and down with a mouse on his schlong, and it starts off small, and then it gets bigger and bigger, and then he starts going, yeah, just like that, just like that. I got to the point where I realised that the funniest thing about the game would be if there was no ending, if there was no climax, and it was merely a test to see how much you wanted to see his stuff shoot out of this meathead schlong. There was no happy ending to my game, and I'm not entirely sure there is. In a way, I think it would be better if there's just no ending and it's kind of a jerk off. Maybe there is and it's played for laughs. I don't know. But as someone who didn't persevere with polishing that dick, my verdict is that it is quite wank.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, SEPE apostrophe S Cumshot if you want to see what it's like, or go to the Vice article.
All one word on Cumshot.
One word. CUMSHOT. Yeah, it's wank, truly.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Well, I wasn't expecting that. That caught me off guard. Okay, my number 8. Not really like that at all, to be honest. It's it's Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze on the Wii U. Boring story. I actually brought my Wii U into the lounge this week instead of having it in my office because it never gets turned on in my office, and obviously it has the gamepad feature so you can play while someone else is watching TV. As they did a spectacular job not telling anybody about when the console was first launched. Yeah. But anyway, it's in the lounge, so I've been playing games on it, and this is the first one. I played almost all of this and got stuck at the second to last boss. I managed to beat him very quickly this time, even though he's still a complete piece of shit. And then I'm now on the last world, and I tell you what, I mean, it is unfeasibly difficult, this game. It's fucking cruel. That's basically the only way I can describe it. It revels in fucking you over as much as it can. It just seems to laugh at you. Basically, I mean, the last level, it's excruciatingly difficult, like Super Meat Boy levels difficulty, just seeing what it can throw at you to piss you off, fuck you over, and stitch you up. And it's this level, which basically the whole level is just like pissing in your face the whole time. And you get to the end of it, this fucking tough, precise level, and right at the end, you move towards the end of level barrel because you beat, like the other one, you hit a barrel to finish the game, and you get a fucking star or a balloon or whatever.
Yeah.
Just as you go to hit it, the barrel just goes and just moves, and you drop down into a fucking pit of like whirly choppy things, and then it gives you the world's tiniest little platform to try and get back up to the thing. And it's like, I couldn't do it. I did it about 5 times. It's like, how dare you? Why would you do this to me? It's amazing. It's unbelievably difficult. So it's the satisfaction when you do beat a level. I could only do like 1 level a day because it's that hard. The satisfaction when you do beat a level is legitimate, but I mean, the old ones weren't that hard, were they? Like on the SNES, they weren't that hard.
No, they weren't. But the last retro one, the first Donkey Kong Country Returns, was unbelievably difficult.
Yeah.
But I thought it towed the perfect balance. Like
this is fine. This is fun, but it enjoys. I'm kind of laughing with it, if that makes any sense. I want to keep playing it. I'm laughing at how much it's trying to fuck me over.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the difference between a good game and a shit one.
Well, yeah, and this is a very, very, very good game. But yeah, what a bitch! Yeah. What a bitch! When that fucking thing moved, the first time it happened, I thought, oh, okay, I must have just timed it wrong. And then the second time, you're like, no, it's just making you suffer, just for the lulz.
So you are going to finish it then?
I hope so. I'm certainly going to try. Yeah. Cranky Kong. Fuck Cranky Kong. That guy's a twat.
What is he to blame for all this?
No, but like, I can't remember. In the other one, did you get different teammates, or was it always just Diddy?
It's always in the first and second one it was, and then it was Diddy and the female
Dixie.
Dixie, there you go. Yeah.
Dodson.
Dixie. Yeah.
In this one, you get Cranky as well. Diddy and Dixie are both mustard because they can make your jumps. They kind of elevate, or you can do floaty jumps. Like the same difference, but both of them. But Cranky, all he can do is like do a spike downwards, but that's fucking useless 90% of the time. And you can't choose
an attack though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's good. But when all there is below you is holes, the last thing you need is to just be shot downwards at high speed. So yeah, right. Cheers, Cranky. Sort it out.
I really need to play that game quite soon.
It's an amazing game. I swear nobody else has played it, because if they had, they'd be talking about how miserably difficult it is.
Yeah, is it? I suppose they wouldn't have announced that, but they ported the Wii one to 3DS, didn't they?
Yeah.
Of course, there's no word yet. If that's
I don't know if their 3DS could handle it, to be honest, because it does some serious like camera tilting into the screen. I mean, it looks amazing, and it does some it's a must. It really is a must.
Yeah, I'm gonna get. I can't believe I haven't bought it already. I can't borrow it off you though, can I? Because you've got.
No, I just downloaded it. Yeah.
Wang Chung. All right, well, I'll pick it up at some point for definite. I can't believe I haven't already. When did that come out? This year or last year?
This year.
It was this year?
Yeah, like February maybe, or maybe even January.
Oh, fuck, I'm going to use this brief period of quiet to pick that up, definitely. Definitely. Okay, my number 8 is FIFA 14 on the PS3. Yeah, no, it's on the PS3,
okay.
yeah. I went to a friend's house at the weekend and we played it quite a bit, and it's really not bad. I realised that the main problems are with the next-gen version.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
In fact, almost all of the problems. I didn't see any of the crap that I've had to get used to playing on Xbox One and or PS4. And here, the first big sign that I knew I was playing a different game came because my friend and I said, let's play the switcheroo. He'd never done it before, so we were doing a half each online. And I realised, right before half-time, I realised that I kept making mistakes because I'd been using FIFA controls instead of Pro Evo controls.
Oh, yeah.
And, if you don't know, the differences are, amongst a couple of other things, long pass and shoot are the other way around. So just before half-time, I switched them back, and I realised we were 1-0 up. So the goal that I had scored somehow was with me using the long ball button mistakenly. And I was just like, that would never, ever happen on the Xbox One or PS4. Because that version of FIFA 14 is the most inflexible and cheap football game ever made. As we've said way too many times before. Anyway, playing the old school... the previous version was genuinely fun, not really aggravating at all. After we played for a few hours, I kind of didn't feel so bad anymore about because I was starting to feel bad about recommending it rather highly when it came out. But it is this version, the version that we played initially, is genuinely good. The next gen version is horseshit of a very high order, but I was like, wow, yeah, genuinely good. It's not Pro Evo, but still very good.
Yeah, I do remember. Because I reviewed the old gen version quite extensively before I ever played the next gen one, and it seemed like the next gen one was better when it first came out, but
it did.
Yeah, it's only after time, and yeah, I don't. It just makes me feel sad even thinking about playing it. But the new ones will be out soon, so I mean, it's only a couple of months, isn't it?
Just bring on Pro Evo. Just be good Pro Evo, for God's sake.
Yeah, they're showing it at it's playable at Gamescom, so hopefully I'm going to get some hands on in a few weeks.
Oh, are you going?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, fair play. Okay,
yeah,
right, good.
So hopefully, if that's just out their booth, then I'll have a raz if I can get some free time.
Really?
Yeah, really. My number. Where the hell are we now? Number 7.
That was my 8. So yes.
Yeah. All right. My number 7. Wii U again. Zelda: The Wind Waker on Wii U. I finally cashed in my Money in the Bank Mario Kart extra free game thing. I realised that it finished that day, yesterday, Wednesday of this week. I only realised that because someone retweeted a tweet that someone put out, and I was like, oh shit. So went through the complicated thing of signing up for that Club Nintendo bollocks with all the weird people standing there staring at you, and you have to do all the surveys and stuff. That was weird. But anyway, I got myself a free game, got myself Wind Waker, and God, it's absolutely stunning, isn't it? I mean, yeah, really, you talked about it already. Wind Waker, I had a funny relationship with that game because I finished university. I handed in my dissertation after staying up for 2 or 3 days or whatever it was, and I dragged my fucking corpse to Virgin Megastore and bought Wind Waker. It come out, I think, that week or give or take, and went home, put it on, and I'd meant to go out that evening with everybody from the course and put on Wind Waker for a minute, and then just woke up like 6 hours later with the controller in my hand, Wind Waker, just the little guy sitting there on the island, and I'd missed the night out. So it was always kind of a sad start from there, and I did end up playing almost all of it and got bored towards the end. But yeah, straight away, playing the Wii U version, I was just kind of blown away by how, it just looks so nice, and everything about it was just so likeable. I actually played it. My little boy was watching. He's kind of got to the age now where he can't play games like this with the controller, but he's starting to get to the point where he can watch them and talk about what's happening, and he just thought it was fucking hilarious to just grab pigs and throw them into the sea. So we had to do that for about 20 minutes. And that's nice as well. But it just felt like a treat. What a lovely freebie. I mean, will I get through the whole game? Unlikely, realistically. A game with everything else that there is to play. But I'd like to think that I'm going to make a decent bit of headway into it. I can't remember anything, really, about the game, apart from the fact you go on the sea and it's a Zelda game, because it was so long ago that I played it. And now it's in the lounge, like I said. I've got some different gaming time. So I'd like to think that I'll get through it a bit, if for no other reason, just to see how, the fucking visual treatment, it's absolutely glorious. They really have gone to town on 1080p, 60 frames. It looks the mustard. Most of the time when you do one of these resprays or whatever you want to call them, they look like how the game you remember the game, but this doesn't. This looks better. than even how my mind remembers the old version.
Yeah, no, I mean, it really was jaw-dropping playing that for the first time. There are a couple of mild control quirks that kind of adjust because it's such a straight port that games have got, they've developed a certain degree. I mean, one thing that I remember happens is it doesn't recenter the camera when you're sort of strafing around an enemy. It won't recenter the camera. So if you're looking somewhere and then sort of coming back out of your camera, it'll still be looking in the same direction. They're very forgivable. You get used to them, but.
Yeah, saying that, you can't invert up and down normally.
Can you not?
No, but weirdly, when you go inside a house, the camera inverts. So just baffling stuff like that. I will struggle with... I think you can invert the first-person stuff, but not the standard walking around camera shit, which is annoying, really, for me.
Yeah. No, I remember saying at the time that there are some mild control quirks, but it's... a real pleasure. I'd love to smash through it again one day, although that'll never happen.
No. But yeah, what a treat. And a freebie. Thanks. Cheers.
Yeah, I got the wonderful 101, which I can't believe I still haven't touched. So I'm going to have to get stuck into that.
Yeah, do.
This week.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear what you think about that, actually.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm excited. I haven't touched it.
I still own that, but I had to delete it to make room for other things because the Wii U holds about 15 kilobytes on the fucking hard drive.
Yeah, it does. Which is a real shame. Okay, where are we? Okay, my number 7 is not actually a video game. It's a card game. It's called Cards Against Humanity. I thought this was some new thing, but apparently everyone knows what it is. You know what this is, don't you?
I know. Well, I know the name, but I don't really know what it is. No.
Okay, I mean, whenever I hear about card games, I automatically assume it's the kind of game where you have to dress up like wizards and use code names and stuff like that. Whenever anyone talks about, there's this new card game, I'm like, not for me. But yeah, a friend bought it to a barbecue at the weekend, and we must have played 8 games, maybe more. We made our way through every card in the deck and then went back to the beginning. And yeah, we had a blast with it. It's just a game where you're given... each person gets 10 cards with a load of phrases on them. Some of them are sort of family friendly and a bit off the wall, and the others are just as offensive as you can possibly imagine. And you all take turns dropping them into sentences with blanked out phrases. So it's essentially a competition to try and get the biggest laugh each time. You just construct your own jokes with the 10 cards that you have. And yeah, it's really good. I've since been alerted to the fact that it's most popular with kind of irksome hipsters who think that it's the most rebellious thing in history, which, I don't know about that. We had a really terrific... It was genuinely, we laughed a hell of a lot. I'm not sure about longevity because occasionally you just find, every time you get 10 cards, there are aces in there. One of the first hands I got given... a robust mongoloid, and I just thought that's guaranteed to raise a smile no matter where I put it. But the second time you hear that, I mean, there are still laughs to be had if you're clever about where you use the good cards, but a lot of it is shock value. So these booster packs that apparently they're selling should do quite well with loads of extra cards in them and stuff. You also, I think it's very important, you have to have a very similar sense of humour to everyone who's there, because I was with old friends that I've known for like over a decade, and we all have a very similar sense of humour, so we know, we're all trying to make each other laugh. I can imagine it'd be quite awkward if, say, you were with a bunch of people you didn't really know. I could imagine it not being quite right, but there were things that that were said that combinations with these cards that came out that I kept meaning to write down. They were so funny. But yeah, it's if you sound like you're going to be in that sort of environment, it's really good. I think it's like 20-25 quid. It's not... I think you have to buy it directly from them. I think it's cardsagainsthumanity.com, but really simple, but genuinely very amusing. I just don't know how, I don't know if it would be anywhere near as good if I play it again. Yeah,
it does sound fun. I can't imagine a situation where I'd be able to play it unless it was with you and you've already played it.
Oh, maybe maybe one day it'll happen. I don't know. I'll borrow it or something, and I don't know. It's good. It's far better than I was initially expecting. Anyway,
no wizard hats.
No, thankfully not.
All right, then my number 6 is actually Titanfall: Frontier's Edge, but I'm imagining that's higher up on your list.
It's my number 1. So...
Okay, shall we do it then?
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, yeah, that was what my number 6 was.
Okay. All right. Well, my number 6 is Thief on the PlayStation 4.
Thief.
What did I say?
You said thief. I just said thief. I don't know why I did.
Okay, well, no, I thought I said thief. I realised when I was sort of messing around in the PlayStation store that there was a demo which arrived very quietly and apparently very recently. And when did this came out? In
February, I think.
Yeah, sounds about right. As we've previously said, or as you've said, this is a game that was forgotten almost before it arrived.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a shame because although I don't know too much about the original Thief games, I was really looking forward to it based on what I saw. It was one of the few videos I watched from last year's E3. You really didn't like it, did you?
It's just so boring.
Yeah,
so boring.
It's just the demo. It's just kind of nothing. It features a really lame section. Or I assume, the whole game's just lame. And you walk through it, and parts of the environment are highlighted, and then you interact with them, and then you attack people from behind to put them to sleep.
Yeah.
Or you engage in face-to-face combat, which involves pressing the same buttons you would from behind in front loads of times instead of just once. You pick up things that are highlighted, money lying in the street.
Yeah.
You can either walk into a building via the front door or one of many alternate pathways. Oh no, the one alternate pathway, the one window that's open. It's laughably short. It took 5 times longer to download than it did to complete it. It is a washout. I'm amazed that they, because there were costs, quite high costs involved in putting a demo up on, especially on Xbox One and PS4. But the demo's a fucking washout. I can't imagine anybody playing that and wanting to buy the full game. I was just like, what was this? Why has this turned out the way it has?
That game is just all the stuff you've done before, and then there was a game a few months before called Dishonored where you could do all that stuff plus about 1 billion other things and it had a lot of personality, whereas this has none.
I don't believe that anybody making this game wanted... this has got to have been some kind of... It feels like the higher-ups wanted a different game than the creators wanted to make. It just feels lifeless. It's just kind of nothing. Amazing that they paid the money. I assume it was a gamble to try and make some funds back because it didn't do particularly well. But that was an error because it's almost worth downloading the 3 gig demo just to see how laughably short it is. But yeah, I will never play that game. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, don't. It's just so boring, and that's one of the biggest crimes you can make as a video game, I think. Being fucking boring. All right, my number 5 is not boring at all. It's Mario Kart 8 on Wii U. Yeah, the last Wii U game I'll talk about this week. I've talked about it a few times. I don't have a huge amount more to add, but it is just a must, really. Now I hadn't played it just on the gamepad before, but obviously it works beautifully on there. Really nice just to be able to sit there chilling on the sofa, just playing online on the gamepad. And what I do like about it, as I played more, I'm starting to get a bit better, and I've picked my nice loadout with the car that I like and the wheels that I like, and I'm probably going to stick with that now. And the racing, people have said this, it was said in the Eurogamer review, I remember, but it really does have, the legitimacy of being a proper racing game as well as all the other crap on there. Like, I've won races playing online just by hitting a really, really beautiful line around the last corner and nothing to do with shells or screwing anybody over. And that's incredibly satisfying, and the handling is just magnificent. You still have that stuff where you do just get stitched up by like 3 red shirts. The game it does have a tendency to make you want to snap your Wii U pad in half at times, but that's just Mario Kart. The online works really well. It doesn't have... when it first came out, there were a lot of connection problems and things like that, but I didn't have any of that sort of stuff playing recently. All super smooth. I just wish there was something a bit more kind of compelling to play online. I know you get those points. The racing is good enough on its own, but the races are only 3 laps, and it takes longer to get into the next race normally than it does to have the race, with all the little me's chatting on top of the earth, and then you're picking your tracks and waiting for new people to come on. So I just kind of wish that there was something just a little bit more, like an extra element to it, maybe some online specific unlocks or something like that, because of the unlocks kind of...
But that's like, as good as Mario Kart 8 is, it's absolutely not aimed at us.
No, it's not.
So that's, I'm the same. I was like, maybe something a little bit more elaborate here. But then that would alienate the people who it's really aimed at. But I do know what you mean. Yeah, It would be nice if there was something a bit more.
Yeah,
I know.
It's not even really a criticism. It's just when I play it, if I'm not playing with anybody that I know and I'm just playing online, after a while I sort of think, what what am I doing, really? I mean, it's a load of fun, but like, it's a stupid feeling, really, because the fun is playing Mario Kart. That's what I'm doing. I'm playing Mario Kart, but I think you're just now conditioned to when you're playing online, you always feel, even though a lot of the time it's probably just like an illusion that you're actually heading towards something or heading towards some sort of goal when you're playing an online game. But we're kind of conditioned to that now through the way online shooters work and online other games work, that you're always unlocking something, always getting to the next level, or whatever it is. So that's it. It's just, I think it's a case of conditioning rather than anything else like that. But yeah, obviously magnificent.
Yeah. I play it periodically, actually quite regularly, but I never bring it up because I don't really know what to say about it.
Yeah, I hadn't touched it for weeks, which is the only reason I brought it back up again.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I play it all the time. I have nothing to add. I mean, I think we said it all when it came out. It really is quite superb.
Yeah.
And glad it sold well, even though it doesn't appear to have.
Yeah, it's almost like a 50% attach rate, isn't it, for the console, which is amazing.
Is that right?
Well, yeah, probably more like 40%. I think it sold like 2.4 million, and the Wii U's done about 6-point-something million overall, or something, which is really not very many. But although, to be fair, selling 6.5 million of anything, it still seems like quite a lot to me. But what do I know?
What do we know? Yeah, indeed. Okay. Yeah, Mario Kart's good. My number 5, I assume it's on your list, is the Destiny beta.
It is, yeah. It's actually my number 1.
Okay, well, I'll leave it till then.
I'll eat. My number...
Actually,
right.
I'll get this out of the way, because the only thing I'm talking about, because I haven't played it on PS... I was playing primarily on PS4. I haven't played since last week, but I played... Because they made it public, I played the beta on 360 and Xbox One, and I made a comparison video, which is on our YouTube channel. As a couple of people have pointed out, if you're really concerned about frame rate and stuff like that, the video is not going to show you the differences between them because I've only uploaded it as 720p. It's just there's just sort of it's more the use of colour and light that's used to sort of mask the fact that the 360 is less powerful. And there's things like the loading times are masked by the intro movie on 360, so you can't skip that. And there's one battle that I highlight in the footage. I put a message up saying these enemies weren't on 360. They never appear. It's not a massive thing. It's just an extra set piece with about 5 enemies or so. But other than that, as you can see, if you've seen that video, they are remarkably similar. I mean, Bungie really skillfully use, like I said, lighting and colouring to mask the more visually elaborate bits. But the 360 handles it brilliantly. And there were a couple of brief moments watching the video back where I was, especially when you're actually in combat, where I looked at the footage and I thought, wow, that kind of looks better on 360. There's loads of deep reds and dark shadows to kind of sort of make it run smoothly on 360, but it looks kind of moody and almost better in a way. It's also completely cross-platform between the Xboxes, so it kept my save. I played the 360 one, and then I played the Xbox One one, and then it had the characters. So if you've ever wanted to play with your brother, for example, you could jump between versions and sort of have set characters.
But it won't go to PlayStation, I'm assuming.
No, sadly not. Was there anything wrong with the Xbox One version? As we've expressed many times, playing games on the Xbox One is often like playing with a really obnoxious child who you kind of want to throw out of a window. And sure enough, for the first 48 hours of the beta being live on Xbox One, the only way to chat with friends at the same time as playing was to talk with the party app snapped to your screen, taking up a third of the screen. Of course. I was just like, of course, there had to be this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you unsnap it, everyone goes dead and the party you can't hear each other. They patched it on the Friday, but... Xbox One, that's just the Xbox One. I don't know where that box would be without Titanfall. I'm really starting to realise that
Yes.
I really don't know. But anyway, yeah, we'll talk about the actual game in a bit if I have anything left to say, which I probably don't.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, where are we? Number 5? Number 4. Okay, my number 4 then is The Last of Us Remastered on PlayStation 4. I played the first maybe 90 minutes or so of the main game and all of the DLC. I managed to get through the whole thing this week, left behind. So, just starting with the main game. Obviously, it looks great. It looked great anyway. It does look markedly nicer, obviously, on PS4. I remember when I played the main game thinking, I wish this was on a slightly more powerful machine just because the resolution was a little low and there were quite a lot of jagged edges and stuff, and I just felt like it was ever so slightly taking away from the the amazing art direction and scene setting and everything like that. It didn't spoil the game, but obviously that's all gone now. Looks splendid. That opening, really, I mean, it is absolutely fucking astonishing, that opening. Absolutely got me again, properly. After that, the first few hours are slow. Say maybe I played an hour after that. They are slow. I kind of... The first time through, I was worried that the game was never going to pick up from there. Obviously, you know that it does, having played it through. But, it's kind of got to the point now, after an hour, you just kind of want it to kick into gear and get all your crafting on and start playing it properly. But, I think they're afforded the luxury of character building and everything like that, and over what is such a long game for this type of game. No problems there. The thing I do have to say is they've upped the frame rate from 30 to 60 frames per second. And I know talking about frame rates is generally quite tedious, but the difference it makes here is it really is tangible. It just feels so smooth and so much more responsive. And when you couple that with the amazing animation in the game, the combat just feels way more kinetic and just literally way more responsive. And it's a marked improvement in that respect. There is actually the option to switch the game to 30 frames per second, because some people prefer that. It's slightly more cinematic, and it actually is. When you switch it back, it feels less gamey, but the response time on the controller is like, you're like, fuck. If the game was only like this, you'd never really know. But with the option there to switch it up to 60, you do never play it on 30. There's no reason to. I think there's maybe a slightly better lighting pass to play it on 30, but it looks better at 60 in every single way. You'd never knock it down to 30. And it's super smooth. It's not like one of those games that's all over the place. Enough about frame rates, but yeah, it's interesting to see how smooth it is. Great. I'm actually going to play through the whole thing again, I think. I had been looking for an opportunity to do that ever since the game came out, but I've forgotten enough about it now. And to play it in such a, it's like a Criterion DVD release version, it really is a beautiful version. And it's just the class of that game it really is something else. It's just, they're special, they're a very, very special bunch over there. So, I played through the whole of the DLC. I'd been meaning to play it, as I'm sure many people had, after it came out, but then when I heard that it was going to be bundled into this, I thought I'd hold fire. It's unsurprisingly really rather good indeed. It's I'd say about 2 hours long, perfect amount of time. I don't want to spoil too much of what happens in it, because it's the gameplay is what, if you played The Last of Us, you know how it plays. But so the main reason to get through it is the story. But I will just say it kind of cuts back and forth between two timelines. You're playing as Ellie the whole time. There's a bit where, I won't spoil it in case you haven't played The Last of Us, but there's a bit in the timeline that happens in the main game, and there's a bit before the main game starts. Right. So I'll just leave it at that. The bit that is taken out of the time that would be in the main game is kind of action orientated. You're attacked, you're in combat. You're trying to do, it's more Last of Us the game. And the other time before that, you're hanging out with this friend that you had before everything happened, a girl called Riley, the two 14-year-old girls, and you just kind of, it's not really combat focused, it's more narrative focused. And I mean, I said they're master game makers at Naughty Dog, but they're kind of master filmmakers as well. I think they've really, like Neil Druckmann and the guys over there, really have earned their chops with this. I mean, Uncharted's fantastic as well, but like the dialogue between the two 14-year-old girls is fantastic, because not only does it feel real and kind of honest and enjoyable, but it's also quite dorky in the way that young teenagers talk to each other and what they think is cool and how they think they're kind of being edgy. And it just really nails it, because some of the stuff they say is a little bit cringeworthy, but it works perfectly well because they think they're cool and being rebellious or whatever. But when it chooses to kind of hit things home, it resonates just as well as anything in the main game, and then the whole thing's wrapped up. and I just thought, yeah, so what a marvelous little chapter. The budget for it, like the production values, are every bit as good as in the main game. It's not like one of those pieces of DLC where it's all fucking crates and boxes and square rooms and things like that. This is a very expensive feeling piece of content, and what a treat to have been able to play it for the first time in the full PS4 splendor. But yeah, great stuff. A real strong addition to the PS4 catalogue, I think. I know some people have complained, it's put a general air of complaint of paying for the same thing twice, but when the same thing as this, and probably so many people have come from Xbox instead of PlayStation to PS4. This is a very, very strong inclusion in the lineup, I think. I mean, of course it is.
Yeah. Are people really complaining about
you just hear, I went on a couple of forums and people are complaining about anything, but like you read comments on reviews and things like that. I don't know why I even bother, but I do know why I bother, just to get a general sense of what the conversation is around these things. So yeah, but people just say something like that, don't they? And then they just go off about their day. But in your mind, you think that that's like something that they're thinking about all day, every day. Where in actual fact, it took them 5 seconds to say it, and then they never think about it again. Yeah. But fuck that noise. It's very special.
No doubt. I do intend to play through. I've always wanted to play that DLC. Are you going to play the multiplayer?
Oh yeah, I might try it now. Yeah, I never played it before really, but I never played it before at all, I don't think. But I think I will give it a go because I hear good things.
I think I tried it. It's just the same as Uncharted, but with a little bit of crafting, I think. Anyway, but yeah, I'd like to pick this up at some point. Because it does warrant being played through again, definitely. Okay, all right. Well, my number 4 is a game called Crazy Taxi City Rush on iOS.
Oh, right.
I played it on an iPad. This came out today. Did you hear about it?
I saw like one screenshot, and I was like, oh right, that's about my whole reaction to it.
Apparently, it's the work of the creator of the original Crazy Taxi. It's free download. With in-app purchases, and there is something very apt about the fact that the S in the word rush in the title is a dollar symbol. This is just about passable enough, although rigid and very cheap. But it's an approximation of Crazy Taxi. There are no motion controls. There's no approximation of a thumbstick on the screen. You just swipe to move between lanes, or tap furiously to brake, or hold either side of the screen to turn a sharp corner. It's really standard stuff. The levels are all scattered around a map. You earn cash to buy the upgrades you need to progress, but soon that currency is basically worthless, so you have to buy diamonds with it. I thought the game was fairly generous with its content, and then about 4 fares. I played about 4 levels, did about 4 fares in the taxi, and I ran out of gas, and they're like, do you want to buy some gas or do you want to wait? So there's that old chestnut. There are also some surprisingly enjoyable tank missions, which involve you having to smash through traffic rather than avoid it, and you keep a multiplayer going, and quite enjoyable. But again, you can only do those one at a time, and then you either wait or you pay. I just hate this business model. I'd rather pay up front, as we've said this way too much. I'd like to pay for what you have rather than what this is. I can't stand it. The game's just like, it does nothing to the Crazy Taxi name or reputation, if indeed it still has one. It's okay, it's not awful, it's not amazing, it's all been done before, it's sturdy, it's dull. One thing that it definitely is very fucking cheap. This probably could, maybe not. When I was playing, I was like, this could run on the first iPhone easily. Thinking about it, it probably couldn't, but it definitely feels lacking. The frame rate's appalling, the visuals are really boxy. And the near ceaseless theme tune with a vocoded Crazy Taxi every 40 seconds or so. It would be torturous if it wasn't so fecking anodyne. And also, when you're playing the game, this is kind of amusing, I suppose. I think there's only 2 songs in the game that play on your radio. It's just the same fucking post-punk. It's exactly what you'd expect to hear in a Crazy Taxi game. And I just kept having the same song over and over again. So I went to try.
It's not The Offspring, though.
No, it's not. No. It's like some 2-bob. I'd never heard of them. But yeah, it said if you can either turn the music off or create a playlist. And I was like, okay. He said, go into your music, create a playlist called Crazy Taxi, and the game will recognise it, and you can listen to your own music in the car. And I did that. It didn't recognise the thing at all. So it was just that one post-punk ditty, shitty fucking song over and over again. But like I said, I think I only ever heard 2 songs when I was playing the game. Also, incidentally, it's still set in that weird 90s world where everyone is either a DJ or a skateboarder or a graffiti artist or something like that. And yeah, it's a completely ordinary, okay, Crazy Taxi. Except also there's coins in the middle of the street, and you're supposed to collect them. And when you drive over them, your customers go apeshit. Like, yeah, you're awesome, you're amazing. I was like, why do they care? I mean, if I was a customer sat in their car and they were picking up shrapnel in the road, I'd be like, drives, we're going halves on that dosh. They go mental. They're like, yeah, you don't get any points. It doesn't slow the clock down or anything. It's just a completely weird touch. And then there's just things that just get introduced and you're just like, I don't even want to know. I don't want to know how this is going to sort of be twisted into me having to pay for something. But I did a fair and it said, yeah, mission complete. And then it said, hey, you discovered a new collectible, a romantic novel. And I'm like, apparently someone left it in the cab. I don't even want to know. This is basically a very, very, very mildly entertaining thing that should have provided sort of bite-sized bits of fun for people, but it has to be a grind because otherwise it wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
There's non-stop adverts unless you pay, obviously. You can't play it offline, otherwise it just keeps asking you for a new username and makes you do old levels again. I mean, it's just... it might have been possibly entertaining if it wasn't built this way, but then it wouldn't exist. So I say just stay away from it.
Will do. I was going to sing that Offspring song from the first game, but I've forgotten it, so never mind. Hey, 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 hey.
That's right, yeah. That's right.
That's me. My number 3 is Splinter Cell Blacklist on PC, actually. I bought this in the Steam sale for $5 or maybe even less than that, and finally got around to playing it. And as you have said, I think you talked about it when it came out, which is nearly a year ago now, I think. Super slick. Like, what a slick piece of work. Really enjoyable kind of combination of the old Splinter Cell games, Splinter Cell Conviction, and kind of an even faster version of Splinter Cell. That it kind of accommodates all play styles. The first level is absolutely brilliant. The first proper level, I should say, set in wherever the fuck is set, Libya or wherever. It almost felt like a platformer to me, that level, because you can move forward so quickly, and the way it was designed was to be able to almost, there was a critical path through the level to be able to stealth everything almost at a constant clip. That was really cool. The rest of the levels that I've played don't quite maintain that. It does slow things down a lot more, and you're doing the whole mark and execute thing from Splinter Cell Conviction, and just generally sneaking about, and it rewards you. Obviously, it does that thing where it rewards you for being a ghost, or rewards you for being what they call a panther, which is how I'm playing it, which is killing everything but doing it without being seen. And then you can play it as an all-action shooter as well, but I don't know why you'd want to do that. Even though it handles that, I think, quite well. But... yeah, I mean, even the kind of daft story was snappily directed enough to be entertaining. I mean, we talked about it has the shitty hacker character, and I mean, it is what it is. But at least it's fast and doesn't really fucking, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, it doesn't feel the need to just fill your head with like 5 minutes of bollocks every single. You know, it's just like in and out. Here's the story. This is why it's happening. You can get some more information if you want, but I knew what I was doing, why I was doing it most of the time, which is cool. I think I was probably about a third of the way through the game, and I do have intentions of continuing to play. Definitely enjoying it. I hear it picks up as well later on or midway through the story. I don't really have much bad to say about it. It did start to feel a little bit samey by the point where I got to it, but I did all of this basically in one sitting. And, you know, I have snuck up behind many a man and snapped many a neck in my life, in my video game career. So there is only so much you can do that with. But I started being a bit more reckless just to make it more interesting. And also you get to shoot dogs in the face, and it's kind of nasty. But yeah, every time I did that, I felt a little bit bad. But they were gonna stitch me up. So what can you do? Sam Fish.
Yeah, I think that was it might not have been number one, but it was high on my list of games of the underrated games last year. I thought it was really quite tremendous, a perfect balance of two completely different games, basically, because it does do the Splinter Cell thing at the same time as doing the actiony conviction thing. But what a shame, and expensive, and just thoughtfully made. And it just came out and did nothing, and everyone just
I guess so. I guess it didn't do very well.
Yeah, Splinter Cell's it felt old. I remember it feeling like it's just the ship had sailed already with Splinter Cell. But have you tried the Spies vs. Mercs?
There's no fuck online on PC. No one online. It's over a year old now. Well, no, nearly a year old, and there was just not a sausage. There's all those co-op missions as well, but that's not going to happen. Realistically,
you can't. Yeah, I mean, the co-op missions are really great, but don't even bother if you're not talking to the person doing them. No point. It's a real shame, that game. If it wouldn't even need that much work. If they brought it to next gen, I mean, I'd play it again.
Yeah, and it looks really nice on PC and runs beautifully as well. I did not have to piss about once in the menus trying to fix it. Whacked it up to full settings, run beautifully, 60 frames, lovely. That's nice because that's rare.
It's Ubisoft, isn't it?
It is Ubisoft, yeah, and so you have to get through all the Uplay bollocks on PC. We have to go through Steam and then Uplay.
It's just because you said it was rare. I was like, no, I thought it was Ubisoft. Never mind, haha.
Okay.
It's a really good, a really fine game, and
it is. It's so accomplished.
Yeah, it really is, and just
for $5 as well.
Yeah,
a year old. Yeah, $5 or even less. Can't remember, but yeah, perfect. Well, it's not a perfect game, but yeah, perfect. Way to spend $5.
Yes, indeed, agreed. It's just a shame. It's kind of nothing. But okay, all right. Well, my number 3 is a game called The Swapper. It's available. It's a cross-buy on Sony. I played it on PS4. It's also on PS3 and PS Vita. It's a port of a PC game, which I believe you spoke about. You've played it.
Yeah, I played like the first bit of it, not a huge amount.
You weren't keen, were you?
I quite liked it, but the way it felt a little bit shonkily made to me. I really liked the way it looked, but there was something about it which was just kind of instantly unappealing. But I believe that everybody seems to rate it, so I haven't played enough of it, to be honest, to really give a proper opinion.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'll talk about this in a bit more detail next week. So this isn't any kind of review as such, but I've played the opening 4 hours or so, and I just think it's absolutely stunning.
Wow.
Truly, truly stunning. I mean, it seems pointless to reiterate this point, but indie developers, or should that be smaller teams working with smaller budgets, because indie's a bit of a sort of confusing word, but that's where you need. That's who you should turn to if you're looking to find sort of explorations of new storytelling concepts, because there is a narrative in The Swapper, and it's really expertly delivered, and it's only done through very sparse dialogue and sort of the textual equivalent of audio logs. And there's a tremendous atmosphere to it. Again, it's sort of infrequent and spare usage of music and sound effects, but it serves to create a really uneasy sort of feeling. And I love the way it looks too. Bits of the environment look like sort of handmade.
I think they are.
Yeah, this is what I read. I think they created clay models, and then they used those. So it kind of feels like the world was once the set of a jaunty kids TV show until something went really fucking wrong.
Yeah.
So it's really, I don't know, it just feels great. And there is this ongoing mystery. You discover all this correspondence about staff revolting and people leaving their posts and misinformation and illness and stuff. And it's just a seemingly complicated mystery that might not add up by the end. I don't know whether it's going to be able to live up to the build-up, but I'm completely sold. If you don't know what it is, it's a 2D puzzle game where you play as an astronaut who has this cloning device, and you can clone 4. I don't know if currently I've been playing for 4 hours. You can clone 4 clones. I don't know whether you can do more later on, and then you can also switch. If he or she has a clear line of sight to one of the other clones, you can jump and actually become that clone. And every movement and gesture that you make affects all of the clones. I mean, there are light puzzles, block puzzles, puzzles where death is important, puzzles where gravity and time are important. Here's a really important thing. If you get stuck, the only way to get past it is to explore the concept of the game. That is always the answer. You have to discover what you can do with the tools you're given at the very beginning of the game. This is not a Metroidvania game as far as I can see. And I played it. This is the perfect game. This is, as soon as I saw this, my girlfriend and I play games like this. We pass the pads, we do a bit. So this is how we played it. And we got to a point. We thought we'd encountered a glitch or a dead end. We'd sort of got to a part of a level that we were not supposed to be in, and we were going to have to start again. And it was really frustrating. We were going to switch the game off, and then we just started playing around with the cloning device a little, and because nothing's explained to you at all. And we just started realising what's possible. You can do all sorts of really cool things, and that's the only way to get past that section of the game. So nothing's explained. You have to. We weren't ready for that, and I think that could be initially quite frustrating if you're also not ready for it. But once we grasp that, the sky's the limit. It's captivating so far, just terrific. I can't wait to play more of it, and to see where the story goes. So if you kept one eye on this, maybe on PS Plus it's on PC obviously, but on one of the PS4, PS Vita, or PS3, I'd say absolutely get it. Already, it's clearly a superb game just based on the opening.
When's it out on PlayStation?
I think it's out this weekend or the beginning of next week.
Okay,
it's imminent. It's like any time now.
Yeah,
but I'm amazed.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind playing it on the Vita. Giving it another go, because I really didn't play that much, and now that has made it sound a lot more appealing for sure.
It feels really terrific on the thumbsticks of the PS4. So, and it looks like they've. I don't know what it looked like on PC, but it looks really rich on PS4. So
yeah, it looked nice, no doubt. It really did.
I think it's just an amazing 4 hours so far.
All right, yeah, I'm kind of interested in going back to it now, especially in this slightly quiet period.
Yeah.
I did a hand like Gordon Ramsay then, but you couldn't see it.
Shame.
My number 2 is Bioshock Infinite DLC, Burial at Sea, Part 2. Already played Burial at Sea, Part 1, and talked about it on this podcast. Obviously talked about Bioshock Infinite many times on this podcast, as anybody who knows, I'm somewhat of a fan. And finally, much like Left Behind for Last of Us, finally got round to playing this piece of DLC, which is crazy. This game that I absolutely love, and this DLC came out and I didn't bother playing it. But now that is no longer the case. You have already spoken about it before. I think I spoke about it very briefly last week, but obviously I've now finished it. I think I did the sort of back end 4 hours in one sitting. And what absolutely beautiful fan service to people who are fans of Bioshock and with Infinite and the original game, kind of, without wanting to go into the what happens in the story. It does a good job of kind of bringing together the worlds of all the Bioshock worlds, apart from Bioshock 2, which kind of is its own thing, done by different people. And it just, much like The Last of Us, it just oozes class. I mean, it's such a beautifully made piece of work, such high production values for a piece of DLC. There's a bit sort of midway through the game where you're in Colombia and going through like Fink's private area and like in his house and stuff, and it just looks absolutely amazing. You don't normally get stuff that looks like that and is designed like that in DLC. You generally don't, and especially in story DLC. Normally story DLC is crap and not even worth bothering with. This is definitely not the case. Just this kind of expertly told story. It's told in a slightly different style to any of the other Bioshock, any of the other bits of Bioshock. It's not told like how Bioshock 1's told. It's told through audio diaries and everything like that. It uses those tropes, but the type of story it's trying to tell is ever so slightly different to the other ones, but still, catches you off guard a lot, and it is largely quite confusing. But by the end of it, it is quite satisfying. And I think it's probably the strongest Bioshock Infinite gameplay across all the different iterations of it, almost exclusively because it has a proper death system, which, I mean, the only thing I don't like, I said this last week, the only thing I don't like about the Bioshock Infinite death system for the main game is that there's not enough of a punishment for dying. You just respawn and all the enemies have still got, I think they may regain a slight bit of health, but I kind of get where that exists from a narrative point of view, especially in this game. But ultimately, I think it takes away some of the tension, and you can get into a habit of just kind of running back into that. You have to kind of be disciplined to not try and spam things, die, and then go back and spam things. You obviously can't do this in this version because it's a classic checkpointed death system. And then amazingly do a decent job of tying that into the narrative as well, because they are quite expert at that sort of thing. I don't really have a bad word to say about it. If you are of the many people who played and loved BioShock Infinite, and I know there's a narrative these days where it's sort of seen as a disappointment, especially given the death of Irrational, which is a crying shame, really. But there are many millions of people out there who love BioShock Infinite, and I'm sure many of them do listen to this podcast. If you love that game and you've not bothered with the Burial at Sea DLC, what are you doing? You've got to get on that. I mean, you have to get on that as a priority. And I'm saying that as someone who's kicked himself for not playing it sooner. Absolute priority. I don't know if they're still on sale on Xbox now. If they are, even though I think they're £12 a piece, which is expensive, especially for the first one, which is short. This one's about 6 hours long, so don't feel ripped off at all. £24 for the two. I think that's, in terms of what you're getting, in terms of the quality, I don't think you could even fault it for a second. And yeah, after it, I just felt like this is what I should be spending my gaming time playing. Stuff like this, I spend time trying to get through to the end of games that I've got bored with. There's some sort of sense of duty. It's a weird thing that we have, but this is what I should be spending my time going. Extra content created lovingly from a game that I just thought was absolutely stunning in the first place, and just made me think and consider and even at times think about like my own life in a different way, and just it made me feel like I was walking through a dream. And yet, I mean, games have this amazing ability to do stuff like a game like Towerfall, where you sit there and play with your friends and have this kind of uproarious time, or sports games do that sort of thing. But they also have this power within certain types of games, and one of the things I've always loved about them, even when they were rudimentary and 2D or like early 3D games, to be able to transport you somewhere else and take you on a journey is kind of a stupid phrase, because it sounds cliche, and it sounds like the kind of thing you'd see written on a photo of someone sitting on a beach on Facebook. But do you know what I mean? Like that's like one of the main reasons I love, especially like single player games. They take you somewhere else, and it's different to what a book does. It's different to what a film does. I'm not saying anything's better than anything else, but when it clicks and when it's great, like BioShock Infinite, like The Last of Us, like even something as daft, and it is daft, as Halo, which still managed to take me. The first time I played the first Halo, it transported me somewhere else. Even though it's about a fucking guy in a green armor shooting a bunch of aliens, it's not about that. It's about just a kind of sense of feeling and mood, and BioShock has that probably better than any other game, certainly any other game in that kind of space, that kind of first-person space. Amazing stuff. Really, really high quality, bar-setting stuff. What a shame that they're not around anymore. I know this was a troubled development, and maybe it didn't get all the things into it that they maybe talked about in the first place, but who cares? Amazing stuff.
Yeah, no, I remember when the second piece of DLC came out, I said you have to play this as soon as possible, because I remember thinking, pretty much the same as you. I thought that was as good as anything in the main game, and it is incredibly strong. I mean, as how much was the season pass? Was it £30?
I don't know, because I bought these two chunks individually.
Oh, me too. I didn't buy the season pass, but I can't, just because if it is £30, which I mean, I think it was. But those two pieces of story DLC, and the excellent Clash in the Clouds, which you should probably consider, just because you can buy it for £1 nowadays. That's quite a season pass as far as I'm concerned. That's really terrific. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure those BioShock offers, the Infinite DLC and some other bits and pieces are on offer for the entirety of the month on 360. So if you do have the 360 version and you haven't played them yet, I can't recommend them highly enough, really.
When you're listening to this, it will be at the earliest, the 1st of August. Yeah.
Fuck. Okay, well, the dream's been smashed. So, but I'm pretty confident that you'll get your money's worth if you buy them, pay the asking price. But then again, they'll be on sale again. So.
They will.
But just play them. I mean, they really are terrific. All the downloadable content is terrific for that game. Cool. Okay. All right. Well, my number 2 is a game called Sacred 3 on the PlayStation 3.
Okay.
Have you heard of this?
I have heard the name. Yeah, I don't really know what it is.
Okay, I didn't really know what it was either. I've never played either of the predecessors. All I know about the series, or all I knew before I started playing this, was an old press release I found on the internet, which explained that Sacred 2, the development studio, Ascaron Entertainment, they kind of went into administration after they were developing ports of Sacred 2 for consoles that went way over budget and took too long. So yeah, they went into administration. So Sacred 3 is developed by a studio called Keen Games, and I'm not sure if any of the original team are now there. That the information was apparently quite hard to find, so I can't answer that. But this is a top-down hack-and-slash action RPG, kind of in the Diablo mode. I believe the predecessors were open world, but this is not at all. And it's kind of what you'd expect, but it's a little bit askew. I mean, the visuals seem occasionally... I mean, I started this with a bit of... I was not massively keen on playing this game. This is not my genre, and I tend to not to respond kindly to games like this. But as soon as it started, the visuals looked like they were sort of influenced by superhero comics more than other games in this genre.
Okay.
And it's also a little bit camp sometimes. I mean, the intro movie is narrated by someone who sounds like he's narrating an audiobook for very, very young children, which, I'll be honest, was quite refreshing. And it's a game that's got quite a lot of broad humour in it. I would never describe it as being funny, but it's definitely amiable. And again, games like this for me are always suffocated by their own seriousness. So the fact that this is this is very, very goofy, and that's all welcome as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it's inane and it's, quote unquote wacky, but you never feel like it's trying hard to be those things. I mean, for example, there's one character who just randomly starts singing things rather than saying them.
Right.
But it does have kind of a stream of consciousness to it. Almost like, I don't want to say PewDiePie, but it feels like it was written and the dialogue is all first draft, so there's no concern about what anything means or why it might be amusing. I mean, for example, there's a bit where I had to find a key to a gate, and then I found that this mini-boss had it. I killed the mini-boss, and I picked up the key, and my character said, "You found the key to my heart." And I'm like, what does that mean? Who are you talking to? What does that mean? But it just has that, it's just relentless nonsense. But if you think that might get irritating, it never got irritating for me, and I've played this game for quite some time. Again, just I found that sort of slightly anarchic nature. I liked it. When games like this, or games like this when they're not Diablo, they appear to be quite cheap to make. And this is definitely a budget release. I mean, it's very simplistic visually, and it can really chug. Especially when there's lots of movement and lots of fire on screen, especially. But strangely, that only happens when you're playing on your own. It has clearly, thankfully, been optimised for 4-player online co-op, because it handles all sorts of craziness in 4-player just fine. I mean, I could not pick any faults with how it ran in online co-op at all, with 4 people running around. The structure of the game is very standard. You move across a large map, and environments are flagged up with a suggested level that you should be, and there are smaller pit stops on the way. Some of them come in the form of sort of horde-style wave battles where you can just grind to level up, or just earn some extra cash before a mission. There's way less emphasis on loot. I mean, you get loot from fallen enemies, but not really, exploring is not really encouraged at all. I mean, the environments are very reined in, and hidden areas are quite rare, much more rare than they traditionally are in games like this anyway. But yeah, I had a really good time with this. I mean, there is a big discrepancy between ranks, so if you're playing this, I'd suggest that you lock off the ability for anyone who isn't close to your level to join you, because I was rank 8 at one point, and these 2 rank 11s came in, and they killed the boss in about 12 seconds flat. So the difference between a rank 8 and a rank 11 is quite vast. So yeah, if you're playing with other people, matchmaking, I'd make sure you tinker with that. This is a very, very simple and very accessible hack and slash game. It's designed to appeal to as many people as possible. I mean, I believe some fans of the first 2 Sacred games are kind of up in arms about the lack of a loot system and the fact that it isn't open world again. There are definitely mild RPG elements like weapon progress trees and stuff, but this is a co-op action game. So if you go in looking for something any deeper than that, you'll probably be disappointed. But on that level, as a cooperative action game, I really, really quite enjoyed it. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I mean, if you play a lot of games like this, I'm not entirely sure how well it will hold up against the competition, because I don't play games like this very often. But I like the lack of seriousness. I really enjoyed the combat, and how flawlessly it works online has got to be commended, because I mean, I was expecting it to completely collapse after the sort of sketchy single player. But no, it's clearly been optimized for that. So that's definitely to be commended. So it's not deep, but solidly enjoyable. Absolutely.
I'll never play it, but it sounds all right.
For a game that when it landed on my doormat, I was like, oh, I kind of don't really. I was not keen on playing this at all. But it's really well done. It's completely derivative. There's nothing original about it at all. But it's really fun, and it's fast moving. The environments are well designed. It's cheap, but it's a. I liked it. I really, surprisingly, I was compelled to keep going back to it for far longer than anticipated. So yeah, I mean, I know you never play it.
No.
I will probably never pick it up again. But for those people looking forward to it, knock yourself out. It's good.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
My number one, as we said, is Destiny, the beta on PS4. We've talked already about this game quite a bit on this podcast, so I mean, really, I don't think I've got a huge amount to add. I've done everything. I did everything that was available on the beta. All 5, I believe, the 5 story missions, like playing in the Crucible, which is the online multiplayer, doing the strike mission a couple of times, and then they had a brief 2-hour window on, I believe it was Saturday night, maybe Friday night, I can't remember, last week, where you could experience the moon level and to do one story mission on the moon. And so I did that with David Turner and Matt Murray, friends of the show. And I must say, it was absolutely fucking fantastic. The old Russia space in Destiny that we've seen in the alpha and the beta is very, very good. It's atmospheric, it looks nice, it's interesting to explore. By all accounts, there's lots of stuff that we haven't seen in that area as well, locked off interiors and whatnot. But going to the moon straight away just felt completely different. It was, when you first appear there, it's just, everything just kind of feels, obviously it's dark, and everything feels empty, and kind of, even though I was with 2 other people, there was a real sense of isolation straight away that we managed to capture. Like I was talking about before with Halo and mood and atmosphere and essence. This is, they're masters of this. Ultimately, you're getting dropped on the moon to shoot a bunch of fucking baddies. It's not like I'm dealing with characters and interesting motivations or anything like that here. It's just about mood and setting, and that's achieved through like the lighting and the placement of geometry and things like that. And obviously, as always with all their work, music. But this is on the moon. Again, quickly, obviously, you get into combat, but this was the first time, really, that we saw enemies on vehicles, which is had a very, very Halo vibe to it, which is great. And most of this story mission was you drive in a Sparrow that has a gun on it. The Sparrow is a kind of type of speeder bike thing. And so you're kind of cruising across the moon on these 3 people cruising across the moon on speeder bikes. Found like this temple and it opens up and these baddies pour out and it's all green inside. And basically, you're just like, this is the shit. I cannot wait for this game to come out. It was a beautiful teaser. I was umming and ahhing about whether to see it or not because I didn't want to spoil any more of the game before it came out. But I'm very glad that I did because it has whetted my appetite even further for a game that just seems like it's got so much more to give. I don't know if you watched that video about the raids that they just put out. They put it out via IGN. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't.
Okay, so one of the things that they're doing for what's called the end game. I know you and I don't really know much about MMOs, but like once once you get past all the story stuff and you've leveled up and whatnot, there's these 6-player co-op raids. They're called, and I think you have to play them with 6 people. I don't know that. We don't know if that's facts yet, but that was the way it was alluded to in this video. But the idea being that these are like, even more so than the strike missions, these are very, very long, segregated missions taking place in areas that you won't see in any other part of the game. And it's all about teamwork and communication moving through these hard areas, and you find like amazing bosses that you won't see anywhere else, and amazing loot that you won't see anywhere else. And the way the guy Luke Smith, formerly of like the One Up podcast, has been at Bungie for ages now. The way he describes it, I mean, he does a great job of kind of selling you in on the concept, but they do sound fucking fantastic. And I was worried that we wouldn't be anything more than 3-player co-op, but it's nice to know that that's in there. There's going to be these huge things, like the type of thing you set an evening aside and you get everyone together. It's going to be difficult to get that many people together at once, I think, but...
Didn't they say that there's no matchmaking for 6
Yeah, there's no matchmaking. So it is just about... That's why we don't know if you have to have 6 people. So hopefully you could do it like 4 or 5. That way, that's not too difficult to get, but 6 people is going to be tough. But, yeah, hopefully it'll make it work. I mean, I think, yeah, they certainly looked... fantastic, and just another string to the game's bow. We still, even though we've played a load of it now and we know how it handles and feels, it's sort of an element of still not quite knowing what Destiny is in the long. I mean, where the story's going to go is one thing, but just kind of what the overall experience of putting that disc in day one and all the content that's going to be available to you and how that ends up playing out. Is it going to be different things for different people, or is it going to naturally flow to everybody does one type of thing? I'm talking about in the kind of shared space rather than the competitive space. But, I mean, how big is it going to be? There's now news that there's only 4 areas, Venus, Mars, the Moon and Earth, and the only place on Earth is old Russia. So now everyone's saying, have we seen like half of the game already? But then Bungie have come back out and going, no, you've only seen 10%. So who knows? I mean, it's all talk at the moment, but it feels like it could potentially be fucking enormous. Surely they wouldn't have given away that much on the beta. I don't know. It's a rare kind of air of mystery these days, especially for something that you've played. I mean, I played that beta for hours, more than I play most games in a year. You know, like well over 10 hours. And still, there's a lot I don't know about that game, and that's kind of cool. Especially I mean, nowadays it's impossible to not know stuff about games anyway. But having worked in the industry for nearly a decade, as it is, it's you tend to just know everything about everything before it comes out. So for something of this scale, from what is probably my favourite developer, certainly in the top 3, to still have mysteries to uncover, that's kind of cool.
Mysteries to uncover, or things that are going to be unworked out and fucking irritating when it comes out?
Nah.
I think it's highly unlikely. Yeah, I mean, it's highly unlikely, but yeah, I've got loads of questions. I'm sure they're going to be answered when the game comes out. But yeah, I do know what you mean. I agree about the fact that it is nice not to know entirely what we're going to get in September. But yeah, I don't have anything to add. I played it a little bit more, but I just redid the opening section, and I'm encouraged, confused but encouraged.
I love it.
Yeah, I think I love it too, but I don't know, because how can you know?
Right.
Don't even know what the hell the thing is. But something I do love, my number 1 is Titanfall, Frontier's Edge, the downloadable content pack, which came out today, and I've been playing basically all day since it arrived this afternoon. You and I had a couple of games, didn't we?
I played one game on each of the 3 maps and had a quick go with like the black market, which it now exists for burn cards, but that's it. So yeah, interested to hear. I enjoyed what I played. Definitely, I enjoyed all 3 maps. Yeah.
I mean, there's not really a whole lot to say. I mean, it's a less striking and sort of instantly, because the first batch of maps could be sort of were fairly easy to describe and were fairly distinctive.
Yeah.
This is slightly less so. I mean, one thing that's come with the patch is the introduction of this black market, which is just a way of making burn cards more interesting. So rather than pressing both triggers to throw a burn card away, now you instantly sell them, and you can buy other randomised decks when you've saved up enough cash. You can also earn cash by completing these new daily challenges that are new to the game as well. I mean, I throw away a lot of burn cards, and recently have got into the habit of using them just for the sake of it. So it's just made the whole process a bit more interesting. Yeah. There are people that are worried that it's going to blossom into microtransactions. I can't see that happening. Fingers crossed.
They always said that they weren't interested in doing that. So.
Yeah, and to be fair, the Plants vs Zombies, everyone thought that was going to blossom into microtransactions, but I haven't seen those yet.
I think it has now.
Has it? We were playing it the other day, and I didn't notice any. But I might be wrong about that, but I would be very, very surprised if they brought them. Yeah, just going on what Respawn has
I don't think those burn cards are powerful enough for people to bother paying for them, unless they released a bunch that were just ridiculously overpowered. But I can't see them doing that.
There are a couple. I mean, like Map Hack.
Yeah.
Just that's a powerful burn card. I mean, I've lived through an entire level without dying and got like 40 kills with that. So there are powerful burn cards, and we'll see. Maybe people will start working out how to game it. I don't know. At the moment, it seems fairly innocuous, just a bit more interesting. But yeah, the 3 maps. The first one is Haven, which is kind of this futuristic hotel complex. It's even got a nightclub and there's a beach. It's the most maze-like Titanfall map so far. It's playing this for the first few times was really quite daunting because there's quite a lot to it. But as I assumed when I played it, because we played attrition first, obviously, I predicted it was going to be an amazing map for objective games, and we had 3 absolute thrillers on Capture the Flag. It's just perfect for that. Yeah, there's loads of hiding spots and entrances and exits on each side. And a superb central route. If you're good at wall running, you can basically run around the whole of that circular building in the middle, and it's just absolute knockout level for objective games. Another one is Dig Site, which looks what it sounds like. It kind of looks like a dig site from any science fiction movie you've ever seen. It looks like something from Total Recall, for example. This one's a little bit harder to tell. I need to play it quite a bit more. I mean, we did quite a few objective-based games, and it seemed pretty good. I'm sure it will shine once we've learned it a bit more. But it's very hard to see pilots because it's quite dark.
Yeah.
And every structure and every building has multiple levels. So it's definitely a little bit confusing at first. And the other thing is that we played a game of Pilot Hunter earlier, and we just kept getting killed by pilots who are really high up on the roofs and amongst all this machinery that's up high, and you just can't see them. It's so dark that you just end up getting hammered. I don't know whether that will become easier as time passes, but it's an enjoyable map, but perhaps a little too complicated, a little too dark, but we'll see. And Export is the third one, and that's a very good map. It's like a small community of houses and small buildings around a port. And there's this really high overlooking pathway on the far side, which is great for attrition because you can basically see you're behind chain link fence, but you can see the whole map basically. And on the other side, there's a sort of bay area where if you try to access it from too high, you'll fall into the sneaky couple of those long drop holes which kill you instantly. There's also this curious room which I found, which I figured out what it was earlier on today, but I think you mentioned it with a big red cable in the middle.
Yeah, it looked like a big power core or something, and I shot it, and then I got a kill later, but I didn't have a clue what was happening. Yeah,
I saw someone do it when I was outside. You shoot the red cable, and there's this surge of electricity on the other side of the map, and yeah, anybody who's in that vicinity just gets frazzled.
Oh, okay.
And there's an achievement tied to it, so I'm sure it's going to be that's going to happen rather a lot on that map. But yeah, that's a really cool map. We did that on Conquest Domination. It was tremendous. Conquest Domination.
That's from Battlefield.
What is it called? Hardpoint Domination. There you go. And it was really that's a really great map for that.
Yeah,
yeah. There's new achievements. Obviously, there's not as immediately. These maps aren't as immediately high quality as the last lot.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to the weekend to sort of play them some more and get to know them a bit better because they're definitely good. Whether they're as great as the last lot remains to be seen.
Yeah, they also they've tightened up the frame rate. It was part of the patch notes, but I did feel like when it was really kicking off, and admittedly we were only playing on the new maps, but when it was really kicking off, there was one bit where there was two Titans fighting two Titans and pilots and grunts everywhere, and the frame rate stayed pretty solid, to be honest, when normally it would drop drastically during that kind of action. And it made that whole fight way more exciting just because it wasn't slowing down to a screen-tearing crawl. Not that that's ever really spoiled the game, but it's really nice if it can maintain that. It's still not rock solid by any stretch of the imagination, but hopefully it's tightened up because it's hardly the most beautiful of games, so it really should be nice and smooth. It's a nicer game, but it's not absolutely stunning. And there's the small little changes that they've done, like there's a little up or down arrow to on the radar. I mean, small stuff that you'll only really care, even an iota about if you play Titanfall. Small little things like an arrow on the little dude on the radar, see if they're upper floor or down floor. It's always useful because I always get confused about stuff. A couple of little tweaks like that, like they'll put the name in now if you get an assist. I mean, just tiny things, it's barely even worth mentioning, but it shows that they're really they're concentrating and trying to still improve the game massively, and they really have done quite a good job of changing it. This whole burn card thing is pretty cool, to be honest. It does add an extra element, kind of freshens things up a little bit for another go around. Yeah,
definitely. It's good. I'm happy with it so far. I mean,
when that game is good, it's very, very good.
Really is.
Yeah, I mean, it's always very good, but when it's really good, oh my god, like it's pure Xbox Record That City is what it is. Like Aaron Paul.
Yeah,
Jesse Pinkman.
Yeah. It's a hell of a game, and I'll talk more about it no doubt next week if I have anything of interest to say, and if I don't, then I will not.
That's us done.
Yes, that is us done.
Another one in the can. Thank you very much for listening. As always, please check us out on Twitter at John Denton, at Chet Roivas, at Chet and Johns for the podcast feed. Check us out on YouTube, Chet and John on YouTube. Chet's always uploading awesome stuff to there, including Chet's Weekend Batters. There are podcast episodes up there. There's Titanfall stuff, and there's video reviews, often of the stuff that you might not know what it looks like as well. So please do check. And if you do go on there, hit the subscribe button, because the more subscribers we have, everything starts to get better, because YouTube is a kind of slightly broken system, and if we can get above a certain number of subscribers, which we're quite close to, suddenly the videos start appearing in all sorts of places, and things will blossom from there, and that'd be marvellous. Yeah. Chuck an iTunes review on there if you want. You don't have to do any of these things. You don't have to fucking listen to me. I'm just some guy. Just do what you want. Just have a good weekend. Just keep it real. To keep it tight.
Keep it tight. See you next week. Perhaps. Hopefully. See you later.
Love you. Bye.
In ages past, heroes defeated the Dark Elf Matriarch to save Ancaria. Her son Zane swore revenge because he wanted to kill her first. He brought war to the lands in search of the legendary artifact, the Heart of Ancaria. Once he almost succeeded in reaching the heart, but was ultimately foiled at the Seraphim Citadel. So he swore revenge again, and turned Ancaria into his personal outhouse for a century. But when all hope seemed lost, a wanderer returned to the Seraphim